Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Flower Power Live. My name's Allison from the Well Cultivated Life, and thank you so much for joining me tonight as I share some wisdom. Tonight, we are going to be learning a little bit from red clover, and I haven't done read you a poem in a while, so I found this lovely poem. And it's by James Whitcomb Riley, who was an American. He lived from 1849 to 1916, and he was also an author. And he was known for his dialect works as well as children's poetry. So the wording, some of this poetry is a little different pronunciation. So I'm going to do my best to read it the way that he has it written down here. Some sings of the lily and daisy and rose and the pansies and pinks that the summertime throws in the green grassy lap of the meadow that lays, blinking up at the skies through the sunshiny days. But what is the lily and all of the rest of the flowers to a man with a heart in his breast that was dipped brimming full of the honey and dew of the sweet clover blossoms his babyhood knew? I never set eyes on a clover field now, ere fool round a stable or climb in the mound. But my childhood comes back just as clear and as plain as the smell of the clover I'm sniffing again. And I wander away in a barefooted dream, while I tangle my toes in the blossoms that gleam, with the dew of the dawn of the morning of love, ere it wept o'er the graves that I'm weeping above. And so I love clover. It seems like a part of this sacredest sorrows and joys of my heart. And wherever it blossoms, oh, thar let me bow and thank the good God as I'm thanking him now. And I pray to him still for the strength when I die to go out in the clover and tell it goodbye and lovingly nestle my face in its bloom while my soul slips away on a breath of perfume. James Whitcomb Riley, Clover. Red clover is the plant of the week, and today is July 5th, 2021. And I have to agree with Mr. Whitcomb that a field of clover is a beautiful sight to see. And what we'll find out today is this plant is kind of a simple weed, again, with the weeds. But the message is calmness and tranquility. And I think that, to me at least, that's what I think of when a beautiful meadow brings this sort of peace and tranquility to me. I think it's a good image. So what we usually think of when we're thinking of clover is the white clover. It grows in a lot of lawns around here. But today we're looking at red clover, Trifolium pratense. There's all different kinds of clovers and relatives, and they're all in the Fabaceae family, which is the pea family, closely related. And it's called red clover, but it's actually really a lot more purpley, pinkish in color. Here, I'll put it up against my white hair. That way you can really see it. Purplish, pinkish in color. And if it doesn't get cut, it'll get up to almost 2 feet, and it kind of like grows kind of jagged and whimsical around. And its name, Trifolium, it comes from these 3 leaves. Oh, that's not a good one. Hold on. I got a better one for you. These 3, here's a good example here. You can see they grow in clusters of 3, and you can identify this from other clovers by this sort of white chevron shape on the leaf there. So that's a good indicator that you've got the right one with the pink top like that. Now, it's a primary plant in hay mixtures, and it not only provides nutrition to the animals, but also, because it's a legume, it adds nitrogen to the soil through this process called nitrogen fixation. And nitrogen is one of these nutrients that is limiting to plant growth, when that means that there's usually just not enough of it available in the soil for plants to grow as much as they possibly can. So this is why farmers will often put manure on their fields, because that has nitrogen in it. Or in commercial operations, they'll use like a chemical fertilizer that contains nitrogen. And this promotes like your plant growth your leaves, stems, shoots, and things like that, not so much the flowers or the roots. So I'm getting into a little soil science today because that's my background. And the thing is that when this nitrogen comes in, it's usually in the form, it's usually ammonia, but it's not really easy for the plants to take up if it's in an organic form, like it's connected into a bunch of organic matter. So the cool thing about all the legumes, including clover and peas and other members of that family, they have these nodules on the roots that allows them to just kind of like take nitrogen out of the air, and it's called nitrogen fixation. So they don't need all the microbes in the soil to kind of convert it for them. They can use that nitrogen themselves and create their own kind of like nitrogen environment. So for this reason, it's such a great plant to plant in your fields because it's bringing in nitrogen and it's helping to just enrich the whole field for future growth. So back to red clover. It is, I'll have to do like a whole soils thing for you guys sometimes because I love soil. Red clover is edible and it's delicious. And it's also, the bees love it. And unfortunately for me, this is what most of my red clover looks like out in my yard because the deer love it as well. I've got one left on this stalk here. They come through and they chow down all the flowers, leaving very little for me. Luckily, I have a local organic farm where I can go pick some when I need it. But if you want to try some, you simply just pull out these little, each one of these little bundles has a bunch of different little flowers. And you just get a little nectar hit right there. Super yummy. Now you want to avoid picking it once it starts to turn brown. It's super easy to collect and dry for yourself. If you go to the store, like the herb store, a lot of times you get something that looks kind of like this, which is a far cry from our beautiful pink blossom. I harvested some last year, and those are in a little bit better shape. They still have some of their color to them. But you can see I harvest the blossom along with just the one set of leaves that's attached right to it. And you just dry them. And I read when studying for this or researching for this show that if you collect them when they're a little bit moist, usually you want to collect herbs when they're dry because you don't want them to get moldy at all when you're trying to dry them. If you do a little bit of moisture, it prevents them from turning brown. So I'm going to try that this year. So if you go out earlier in the morning, still have some dew on them, it's supposed to be a better time to collect. Let's see here. Where are we? So red clover is a delicious additive to tea, which is how I usually use it. Like I said, you can collect either just the flower, or you could actually, collect the whole flowering top and just strip off all the leaves with it too. No reason not to use those. It adds a nice kind of a gentle, earthy kinds of flavor, and it makes a really good base for other more pungent types of herbs like mints, let's say. And this year, thanks to the lovely Deb Sewell, who inspired me through her course that I took, I'm going to try and making some glycerites, and I think I'm going to use some red clover to do a red clover glycerite. So I'll let you know how that turns out. Now, red clover medicinally is most well known for being a blood cleaner, which means it basically just kind of regulates the blood and helps to get gunk out of there and move things along. So I will use red clover a lot when I'm making a tea if I feel sick. And it's especially good for any type of swollen glands. And according to Matt Wood, it can relieve not only swollen glands, but also lymph nodes, cysts, mastitis, or other puffy, swollen, or areas of tissue that have been kind of like cut off from the other parts of the body and just kind of hardened up. So again, it's probably mostly attributed to the ability of the blood to come. It kind of thins the blood and allows it to flow through that area more. So because of that, just a little bit of a warning, if you are a person who is taking any kind of blood thinners or other kinds of maybe a blood pressure type of medicine, you definitely want to check with your healthcare provider before you take red clover. Now, who would think that clover, little old clover, was such a powerful medicine? But this is one of the things I'm always telling everybody. These common everyday weeds are just incredibly potent. So I want to tell you a story. I'm going to get into a little bit about the flower essence now. And I have to tell you this story. When I was doing my herbalist training with Lycanwood Herbals, we did one flower essence day as part of the training. I'm chewing here because I still got some of the clover in my mouth. So I just loved it. Comfrey, I think I told you that story, was my first plant that I worked with. And I'm walking around my yard one day and just looking for the most beautiful flower that's kind of attracting me. And I saw this beautiful red clover and I thought, oh, that's beautiful. But it's just red clover. Who cares about it? And all of a sudden, no sooner had those thoughts gone into my mind, literally a hummingbird buzzed me right by my head, stopped and landed on, I think it was a marshmallow or something that was with me, stopped, landed, looked at me, flew off. I was like, oh my goodness. I don't know what that means, but I'm making the red clover. So sure enough, when I told my teacher, she said, hummingbirds are a sign of a flower essence practitioner. So red clover taught me that lesson. Don't ever think that the ordinary cannot be extraordinary. So speaking of Lycanwood, according to the repertory from Christine, the red clover flower essence provides a true self-awareness and allows a person to act like calm and sort of balanced in a way that allows them to not to worry about sort of the outside influences or what other people think about them and so on. It just kind of brings it back to center. Oh yeah, this is the place where I'm supposed to get my information from. And I found another interesting from, what was the name of that? Mayernick Kitchen, who is a co-creator of flower essence. And she says, red clover flower essence redistributes the over-aggressive energy and helps the information be absorbed calmly from the emotional body to the physical body. So our physical body tends to be kind of calm, and our emotional energy tends to be really, can be very hyped up. So it suits the hyperactive and oversensitive minds by grounding them back in the bodies to connect with Earth. So if your emotional or thoughts are too much and you're way up here in these chakras, it helps to bring it down into those lower chakras. It calms and steadies one's presence by restoring the proper distribution of energy and homogenizes the etheric fluidity to relax the body. So it balances the blood and cleanses the blood. It balances your energy and cleanses your energy when you're used as a flower essence. Now, because I once again chose the flower because I knew it was blooming this time of year, I went ahead and drew the card from the Soul Flower Essence deck. And this is the red clover flower here. It's got this beautiful illustration, once again by Lisa Estabrook. And what it says about the card is that red clover helps support a sense of clarity, individuality, and self-awareness in the midst of our chaotic and often negative, so true, world. She is a calm and steady presence, helping you to remain balanced and to think and act from your center of truth, despite whatever may be taking place around you. So again, helps you bring back to center, and that is your place of truth. Very, very important. So clover, it cleanses our blood. And this is this river that moves through our entire body. It touches every single cell, and it brings nourishment to every single cell as well. And it also nourishes the soil and the creatures and the pollinators. And it's just a very nourishing type of herb. And it does all this without any assumptions. It's just a clover, right? Plain old clover growing in the field, but it's just doing its thing, right? However, as I was taught by the hummingbird, the ordinary, do not overlook the ordinary. We so often are attracted, squirrel, not squirrel, but, glitz and glamour and, ooh, powerful and influencer and all these kinds of things. That's what we're attracted to and what we think we need. as we're looking outside ourselves to try to find our truth, when really we've got to let that loud, sort of persistent noise outside of us go away. And this is what Clover does for it. It helps us to recenter, come back to our calm, and find that tranquility, which really, truthfully, that's really what we're all really looking for a good and happy life, a feeling of inner peace. So that is our message from Red Clover tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. And I hope you'll sign up for my challenge, my Come Back to Your Senses challenge, which is starting a week from today. I keep changing the date. It's going to be the 12th. I'm going to start on next Monday. So next Monday night, I will have my show, but I might do something a little shorter or something a little different for the show. And I will put the link down below, which group, how to join the Facebook group to become a part of the challenge. Until then, have a wonderful week. And I hope you're out enjoying the summer. And we just had a bunch of rain here, and now it's all clearing up, and looking forward to a beautiful week ahead. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.